Hi guys, the name's Mark, and basically this will probably be the last video. I think I'm wrapping things up here for you guys anyhow, but we're just going to look at some quick words here. This is Black's Law 8, and it says claim of ownership. This says 1. The possession of a piece of property with the intention of claiming it in hostility to the true owner. So, had your parents never rocked up and used the hospital services, the vices of the hospital never would have added a vice, and they never would have had a claim of ownership. But because you did rock up and use the government services, you had to register that child, because effectively what you were doing by registering that child was giving that child up for adoption and stating that you no longer wanted it by using their services. So they make a claim of ownership here, which is certified and the whole 9 yards, and there's the QSUP number. And so they're making a claim on this, and 7 years later we've established through C-29 that they're making the claim on a deserted child, and if the child wasn't found within 7 years, that they would make a claim of ownership on this child, and hence that's why this whole contract here has already been framed. These people are already framed in here. And so effectively, 7 years later, they draw up what they call a birth certificate. Now, that's fine and dandy. So what we're going to say here is this, okay? They're coming on to say the possession of a piece of property with the intention of claiming it in hostility to the true owner. So the true owners of this child / baby didn't even know that they were giving this up for adoption. So this was in hostility to the true owners. There was some falsehood, some falsifications going on here. And hence, it's obviously in hostility to the true owner. So now we're going to reverse this. We know that 7 years later, they've made a claim through C-29 on the Ontario birth certificate or whatever, right? So effectively, it goes like this. That's claim of ownership, and if you read claim of right, this is a claim of right, 39.1 of the Canadian Criminal Code, and it's been certified. And they're stating here, actually, we're going to come to that in a second. So we're going to go claim and delivery. So now what happens is this, okay? And we're going to go like this, and claim and delivery is going to say this, okay? So effectively, what's happening is this, okay, people? If you rock up, it says here, it says Ontario birth certificates. And it also says, welcome to the Ontario birth certificate application page of vitalcertificates.ca. Required to establish a legal identity. Now we're going to read something here, okay? So you're using something that was never yours to begin with to establish a legal identity. And it says claim and delivery, a claim for the recovery of specific personal property wrongfully taken or detained, as well as for any damages, age of the damned, caused by the taking or detention. This claim derives from the common law action of replevin. Then it says sometimes written claim and delivery. So what happens is you people are establishing a legal identity to rock up and claim a birth certificate, the birth of a new certificate, stating that you are the person, and it says who can apply, and it says the person. So you're rocking up using a false identity, a legal identity, to state that you are now the person. Well, you could have never been a person, but now you're becoming the applicant, you're applying for this to state that you're the person. And once again, you're not only are you doing that, you're now creating a false legal identity to do that. So now what happens is you've applied for this, and it says fees and processing time. So you pay a fee for this. They process this like a piece of cheese. They send you this bond, and it tells you here it's official government issued, is sued. They've already sued this. They've already leaned these numbers. They put a claim of ownership and a claim of right, 39.1 of the CCC. And they tell you here that they've made the claim of that property, and now you're rocking up and you're making a claim and applying and stating that you're the person who can deal with this. Well, obviously you could have never been the person to deal with it before, and now you're stating that you are, and not only is it so fraudulent, you're even using a legal identity to claim this fraudulent person that was never yours. So effectively now, because you've made a claim for this, you paid for that claim, what happens is, well, that once you're the holder of that, you're the bond holder, you're a bondsman, you're now part of the bondage, and it says a claim for the recovery of specific personal property wrongfully taken. You rocked up, and not only did you wrongfully take this, we'll determine that this is theft in the next paragraph. You wrongfully took it. You also stated that you were the person who was the subject to this certificate, the birth of this piece of paper, this certificate. So now, effectively, you know, we're going to come up, we're going to come back down here, and we're going to look at something. And once again, claim of ownership. The possession of a piece of property. You already knew these people were possessed by this property, so why were you rocking up and applying and making a claim to pay for this and state that you were the person when obviously you couldn't be a person, and now you're creating a legal identity to do that? I'm sorry, people, but that's fraud. And once again, the possession of a piece of property with the intention of claiming it in hostility to the true owner. So now they've reversed the supposition on you. You're now coming up. These people are the true owner, not you. And now you're rocking up and you're creating a legal identity to state that you're the person and you're the true owner of that. And that's theft. And right underneath claim of ownership, under claim of priority, it says claim of right. Historically, a criminal plea, usually to a theft charge, by a defendant asserting that the property was taken under an honest but mistaken belief. You rocked up, you were mistaken, and not only were you mistaken, you were so mistaken that you created a legal identity to state that you were the person who was the subject when you just never could have been that, but now you're rocking up and you're stealing this. And then it says here, belief that the defendant had a superior right to the property. So you thought this was your property when they said, no, this is our property. We took this in hostility to your parents, and now you're trying to rock back up and take this back in hostility to us, and then apply, become an applicant, and then claim that you are the person who is the subject, and you've used a legal identity. That's fraud. I'm sorry. That's all that is. So now, once again, a criminal plea, usually to a theft charge. You rocked up, you applied for this, you even claimed it, you made a fraudulent claim, and so usually to a theft charge by a defendant asserting that the property was taken under the honest but mistaken belief that the defendant had a superior right to the property. The claim of right could also be raised in a defense against bigamy. We don't care about that. And then it says claim of liberty. That's your Liberty numbers that you've been tied to if you rock up and apply and create a false legal identity to state that you're their person, which is fraud, and even say so. And it says a petition to the Crown filed in the Court of the Exchequer, so somebody's checking these checks out, seeking the Attorney General's confirmation. And this comes from the Deputy Register Attorney General. There it is. Hopefully we'll see that. There you go. And then I'm going to show you. And then it's a full-blown bond. So bottom line is, if they want to pay for this debt, you let them pay for the debt, but don't you go rocking up making a claim of ownership on this, because we've established that under claim of right, that would be theft. And they don't care if it's tyrannical or not. Their system states that they'll use force. So effectively, people, is this. Even down to the police officers and the court officers and all these people working in banks and all that, and they're all rocking around with surnames, your names, which are not their names, because these people made the claim of ownership and the superior claim of right on that. Well, effectively, they're all running around with names that aren't even theirs. They're all performing on forms of paper, construing, trying to true things up like a bunch of cons, and they're all effectively running around, operating in a world of fraud, and even using names, surnames, that are not their names, and then they're trying to come after people and say, oh, well, this is legal, and we're honest about this. Well, obviously, there's no honesty, so who can be trusted? Who's to be trusted when everybody's running around using a surname that doesn't even belong to them, that the official government's already sued? It says right there, I sued is sued. Take your pick. You know, and then people are rocking up in the court and they're going, oh, well, you know, I'm not this person, but meanwhile, you've applied to make a fraudulent / thievish claim to agree to be the person, and then you used a legal identity to do it. I'm telling you, people, so everybody, I don't care who you are, if you're running around with a surname that belongs to the government who's made a claim of ownership, they have a claim of right, 39.1 of the CCC, and then you come back up here and claim and delivery. Oh yeah, hey, well, they've already claimed this and they've delivered it to themselves, and then you're rocking up to make a thievish claim and state that you're going to use a legal identity to do it. Oh my God, man. The bottom line is, obviously, nobody's to be trusted in this system, and how can they be trusted when they don't even know who they are, let alone You know, they're all running around, oh yeah, well, that's my last name and this and that. And meanwhile, they're running around stealing a last name that's not even theirs. It's basically a copyright, is what the government's holding right here. That's effectively what they're saying, a copyright or a trademark on that. So I'm going to leave it at that, people. Basically, it's so messed up that you've created a legal identity to rock up and steal a birth certificate that was never yours and make a claim to something that was never yours. The whole thing is preposterous. So, and again, so who can you trust? Obviously nobody, when they're all creating legal identities to create fraud. It's just that simple. So I'm going to leave it at that. Much love, light, respect out to all. Always cheers. Bye.